Hey folks, and welcome to the Pipnotic Symposium for the 13th of March 2019. Today we are going to run through a few different pairs. We're going to start off with a Bitcoin American dollar. If you have a look here on the smaller time frame, you can see the price is looking pretty busy. We're having some periods of consolidation, then these big pushes higher or lower, gapping down here, moving higher here. But if you look on the more important time frames, such as a daily chart, you'll notice that the price isn't really doing anything. So we're moving sideways. We've moved into this monthly area of demand. You can see here, price moved really deeply into it. And now we are painting accumulation candles. What is that telling us? Well, that's telling us that price moved into this really interesting area here. This is a monthly area of demand, as I mentioned, and price has not moved. It's kind of stuck in this area of monthly demand, and we're painting these white candles, which is telling us that we are cooking either to move higher or to move lower. And based on the fact that we are nested within this monthly area of demand, it's likely that price is probably going to move higher. But notice for a second that we do have this continuation pattern here just below price. Very nice one. And this is the 2930 area, and price has almost poked into that. We haven't quite reached it yet. And so if you look at this, you have this this departure, two period of accumulation, departure. We have a red candle here, and this candle is an accumulation. So price, the lower this candle, poked into the edge of this monthly demand, and then we left really far to these high prices, these all-time highs that you can see here. And so the area of demand that initiated these all-time highs is actually down here at the 2931 area. And so it might look tempting to do something in here, but the real demand is currently below where price currently is. Okay, and this information we're getting from the monthly chart. So if you look here as well, notice that we had a few areas. We had some lows here, another one here, and they continue, and we had a couple here. And they were struggling to move through something in here, as you can see. So we have a small something going on in there, and you can see it here, how price rallied, two accumulation candles, and then the green candle. So if we just cover the edge of it, I mean, it looks like this. And this is the one that price was having a tough time moving through for quite a long period of time, until recently. So now we have a weekly area of supply that caused the consumption of this bullish demand. And then you ask yourself the question, what area of supply did this? And you can simply move this rectangle over to the box that the Pipnotic software has drawn for us, and it gives us something like this. Okay, so this is what we're currently looking at. So this is weekly supply above price, so we're selling once price comes to this area or higher, and we have this monthly demand below price, and so we're looking to buy once price comes to the 2932 area and below. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. And on the shorter time frames, you're going to find all sorts of stuff going on. We have this daily area of supply here, but I think on the cryptocurrencies, because of the some of the crazy volatility we've seen, I think you have to pay attention mostly to the major flows, which are visible on the monthly and the weekly chart. And so this is what I'm looking at here for the Bitcoin American dollar. So just to reiterate, we have an area of supply starting at the 61.94 area. We have an area of demand starting at the 29.33 area. Okay, and I think price will probably move between these two for a while. But let's see what happens. Maybe the bottom will fall out. It seems like crypto is kind of going to hell at the moment, but we'll see. Right, let's have a look at something else. Let's have a look at the Australian dollar, American dollar. So what do we have here? Let's go to the big time frames and have a look. What's going on? Well, you can see here that we had this downward trend, and then price had a bit of a pause from it, and we moved higher, and now we're starting to break down again. Let me remove these round numbers. There we are. Now we're starting to move below here. So if we have a look at, just to make these swings visible, I'm gonna enable the origins here so we can see clearer. So we look for some recent swings, and you can see that we have this one and this one. This is kind of a upward sloping trend line here. We have a low, a high low, and a higher high, and our prices move through. And so you ask yourself the question, well, we have monthly market structure failure. Where did the origin of this move happen? And you can see that it's right here, because the trend line was broken by this candle. More importantly, you can see we have formed the top, we left, we accumulated, and we moved away. We had another accumulation here, and then price moved up to the edge of an area of supply before it moved lower. So on this chart, I'm looking at this. This would be an interesting sell for these reasons. Okay, so we had market structure failing. So the 76.86 area, pretty interesting. That's on the monthly chart. We go to the weekly chart and have a look. You can see that just on the edge we have this nice little cutaway here. Let me, I'm just going to turn this up a bit so we have less noise. So we have this one here. Okay, surprise. We kind of moved through the area, we came down to it, we moved sideways, and then we cut away, and then we tested the edge, and then we dumped. Okay, so this is a really interesting area here to look to begin to sell. So I'm going to put an order in just there. Price probably won't get there for quite some time. This is again on the big time frames. I'm going to sell at the 76.82. There we are. And let's put this up here. And we have the negative interest rate swaps, which aren't massive, but we'll leave it at that for the time being. Once the price fills, we have plenty of time to figure out what we want to do with the position, also to look at opposing areas of demand for profits and stuff like that. Okay, so let's go to another time frame and have a closer look. You see here that we have a downward sloping trend line, and remember, these trend lines are early warning trend lines, and so when price left here, it did not move below this. So this is giving you a kind of bleeding edge trend line information. Okay, so you just have to be aware of that. It's not fully qualified. And why is it not? Well, this is just Trendline Theory 101. This is kind of very, very normal trendline theory where you have a low, a high, a low, and a high. And so you can connect this low, the first low, to the second low, here to here, because when price left the second low, we managed to move above this high. Okay, and if price does go above this high, then it's okay to use that. If price does something like this, and then kind of goes like that, well, then you can't connect these two here. Okay, and the reason being is that you don't know in the situation like this if supply or demand is in control. If price forms a low and a higher low, and the most recent area of supply has been consumed, well, then we know that we have demand in control. So the thin side of the market is up and the thicker side is down. Okay, and so this is pretty important stuff, and this is just showing you really early information. So yes, we have a high, we have a low, we have a high. So these highs are getting lower, so the trend line is going to be moving down, and we expect it to continue moving lower. But we don't know if this is going to happen. Okay, and until it does, we're not allowed to put too much weight on this. It's more of a visual cue as to what's going on. Okay, so just use it as a reference, but don't bet the bank on it. Cool. So if we look at this, we do have a trend line. Looks like this. We have a high here to a high there. Okay, so high, low, lower high, lower low. That looks good. And go to the smaller time frames. You can see that price is slowly drifting lower. And so we had this area here, and we had the child and the parent. So the parent's like, I suppose here, come on, like this, like that. Oh, come on. Okay, so parent, child. Why? Because this was established independently of anything else, and this one was established as a result of this one. So price left here, We accumulated, we went up, we came down to the edge, and then we left. Child, parent. Trade the parent. Be careful with the children. So we have the high here. It was tested once, a couple of times, and price cut through it. What area of supply took it out? We have something up here. I'm not going to go and have a look, but we have something up there. This is the one that caused this area of demand to be removed, right there, like that. Okay, so that's gone. And so you say, what area consumed it? This one did. So this is the one we trade, and this is the one that's currently price is currently reacting on here. Okay, and so this one is still holding. What do we have above price? Well, we have this, which I like. Okay, this looks interesting at the 71.35 area. We'll remove this here. This is interesting because if you consider the beginning at the buy zone, where is it? Mark off the high, the origin of the current move. The current move is a correction lower. So you can see that has the price been back to this area before? It has, here, 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 and here. So this goes up, here, and the wicks go here. So this is the beginning of the sell zone. So the trade for this would be just up here. But before we do anything, we want to go to the small time frames just to have a look, see what we can find. So if we zoom out and have a gander, we can see it looks like this. So we have price kind of moving through the area, not really doing much about it here, and you can see that we had a parent there. Price tested it once, twice, a few times, and then it cut away. The area that did that is this one here. So here we have the parent, child. Maybe want to widen that a little bit. So this is what we currently have. This is kind of like the 15-minute area nested within the 4-hour area. So you can see the beginning of the sell zone starts here. This is a pullback, and then price drops. So I think once price moves up into this area here, we're probably going to see some sellers into the market. You can see also that we are, if we zoom out a little bit, we're moving lower, you can see. Okay, so if price comes up to here, I think it would be pretty interesting to see what happens when price manages to move up into there. So what I'll do is I'll mark off the low of that like this. Oops. And then I'll delete that, and then I'll put my order to sell at the 71.41. I'll probably move my stop a little bit higher just so I have some space between the high. I think I'd leave it at that. Okay, so let's put that one in. 1.2 mini lots. Sell 71.41. Boom. Right. And the robot, I just made like a small utility that'll help me put the stops in so I don't have to do that. And then I just manually plop those in there, and that'll come up any minute. There we are, and then I just drag them up to here. Okay, let's do like a 1 to 2, and we'll see what happens. Just a pretty nice release. Our price kind of like moved through the area, didn't really care too much about this area historically, and then new supply. So I think this is interesting. So we'll leave that in there and see what happens. Let's have a look at the pound US dollar. This is an interesting one. We have a look at that. Let me remove the round numbers. Actually, I'll leave those on there because that'll be quite interesting on the smaller time frames. So what do we have going on here? Well, we have a low. We have a new low that's forming that is higher than this one. What does that mean? Well, that means I'd be a little bit nervous about selling because ideally you want these to be taken out. Okay, so this would make me a little bit nervous about selling just now. I'd expect price to have a deeper correction once that happens. So we have a kind of a bullish bias for the time being. And then we have to have a look and see what's going on. And you can see here that we have a downward sloping trend line from here to here. It's been broken. You can see there's nothing really in here that's interesting to us. It's messy. So if we look here, where did price react? So you mark off the low, like so. We're reacting to this here. So we had kind of a micro area of demand in there, so we'll mark it off from the low to the lowest low since the release, which is here. And this is what we have now, 24.31. That's where price tested. So take this information down to the smaller time frame. What do we have? We have some nice areas of supply above price. We have this here, which I like a lot. 139.35. I like this one here. And notice that, I mean, there's nothing really stopping price from moving higher. If you look at the current high, the current level is here. And so you ask yourself, has price been back here? It has. Here, and here. So this is the beginning of the sell zone, which brings our attention to this little fella here. We'll mark off the whole area because it's a pin bar. And above that we have this one here, and I like this one just a little bit better because this is where this move kind of originated from, how price left, accumulated, and then we had everything slow down here. So price is slowly moving around, and so ideally we want to, when we have a short, actually we don't really, we just have to be careful at the moment because the pound is really unstable and due to this whole Brexit scenario, and so just have to be a little bit careful. But keep in mind that we have formed a low that's higher than the most recent significant low, and we're moving away from that, and so that's telling us that we want to be careful shorting too soon. So you can short, but you wouldn't want to short until we get kind of into the upper edge of this move. So if we look from the high to the low, I mean, this one here is at the 79% retracement, which I like. So let's do that. There we are. We'll leave it at that for the time being and see what happens. Good. So there's there are a few trades to keep an eye on. The pound, I didn't take anything. I'm just going to remove that from my chart, from my terminal. We've got something here on the Aussie, the dollar CAD. You have the Bitcoin, which would be quite interesting. If price came down to here, it would be really interesting to see if we could attract some buyers. And we certainly have some selling interest here. This is very interesting. How price just kind of slopes down like that, so the supply is pushing price, then we have this big squeeze, and then it pops below, which means that thin liquidity is down here. It's thinner on this side of the market than it is on this side. So it means essentially that there are more people selling Bitcoin than there are buying at the time this occurred. Just here, okay. We have the Australian dollar Kiwi here, and looking at this as well, I kind of think, when I see this, these candles moving down like that, makes me want to move this higher, because this looks on the smaller time frame. Let's go to the tiny time frame and have a look at that. You can see that, I mean, this is, let me zoom out. I mean, the drop occurred from here, but looking at this, you know, you could see kind of like that, all those candles kind of moving lower. I don't like that, but what I do like is this. So I'm going to move this from down here, which is, you look at this, I mean, there's nothing here, there's no supply here, but there's certainly supply there. So I'm going to move this from there up to here. That's a much better place to sell. Yeah, and you can see we have a cluster of white candles in here, which is great. And we have like a nice cutaway from here. So I'll probably move this up to the edge there with the candle here that moved away. We had a kind of beginning of the sell zone begins here, then price cut away, and we have not been back there since. The major swing highs, pullbacks back into this area. I mean, they're down here, and then this one, which is a little bit lower. So this is more interesting. This is not a whopping great pullback, but price did go in a straight line. Okay, so I think this is pretty interesting. Okay, well, I'll finish it at that. If you have any questions, please send them in the forum, and otherwise, have a super week. Thanks for watching.